Tom, we have you with Texas Constitutional Enforcement and self registering for HB 82. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Go right ahead.
I'm in favor of this bill because Texas needs as much assistance as possible to help withstand the assaults on Texas that are coming from the cartels. And so we want to make sure that it happens. We want to do it constitutionally as well. The Constitution, Article 1, Section 10, Section 10 is a part of the Constitution that mainly is prohibitions to the states. And it says you can't do interstate compacts without approval of Congress. But at the very end of Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3, at the very last sentence, it says, unless actually invaded or in such imminent danger, et cetera. And so one of the things that I advised the author of this bill is that if we have declared an invasion or we declared imminent danger, that we do not need to go to then I think the committee sub, I haven't seen it, but I think the committee sub has that in there that says we don't have to go to Congress if such exists. Since I communicated that with the author of the bill, we had testimony in the Senate from the Attorney General's office that said there's a whole line of cases from the Supreme Court that said there's a number of different types of situations where congressional approval is not needed for interstate compacts. And it was his opinion that the kind of compact that we're talking about, especially if we're not talking about immigration, but talking about security, is one that is something that will not need congressional approval, even if we haven't declared an invasion. So I think we just need to make sure we got the language right, that we're not going to go ask Congress for whatever reason, and go ahead and get the job done, because we're in the soup and we need help from other states.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? Representative Raymond.
Thank you. So since you follow this pretty closely, right?
Yes, sir.
This, you think, would help with the Mexican cartels, right? Is that?
Yes, sir.
Do you know?
That's my main reason for supporting it. Yes, go ahead.
Do you know and I mean, I almost hate to talk about this stuff in an open hearing, but here we are. Do you know we have Russian cartel presence in Texas and surrounding states?
I don't know all the things I need to know about the cartel.
Chinese?
I'm sure there are, and
So this would be not just Mexican cartels, but your hope it would be that go after the Russian cartels, Chinese cartels. Yeah. I don't know.
I want anybody who's trying to harm Texans to be held accountable and stopped from harming Texans. I don't care what nationality the cartel is.
Do you? Okay. Thank you.
You bet.
Representative Anchía.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Define invasion. You've used it, and other speakers have used it. Can you define it?
Yes, I guess I'd go back to what Madison talked about in the Virginia ratifying conventions. He said it's a series, or it's a range of actions where foreign actors come into the province and harm the people of the province.
It's armed, right? It's an armed, it's a military or armed incursion into one's territory, right?
Yes, and he included in that.
Do you believe that's happening?
The cartels coming in armed and harming?
I'm talking about the immigrants, man.
Oh, no, I will tell you, I do not consider immigrants coming to this country to be an invasion.
Okay.
Okay, what I do.
Any cartel activity constitutes an invasion.
Well, when 107,000 Americans in 1 year die from the poisoning of fentanyl, that's all the deaths that have happened in Vietnam and Korea combined, which it wasn't overdosing, it was deliberate poisoning. I consider that to be a hostile action that's affecting and is an imminent,
regardless
clear
of where it comes from, right? Anybody who dies from an overdose in the United States, regardless of where that drug may come from, in your definition, that constitutes an armed invasion.
Well, I mean, I think the facts show that most of what the fentanyl that's being used to poison Americans and Texans it is coming from Mexico, and it is made there by precursors from the Chinese Communist Party. I don't think it's a very good business model to poison and kill your customers. I consider that to be an assault or an attack on the people of Texas.
Let's talk about
Yeah.
the business model then.
Yes.
And why cartels exist. Why do they exist?
Well, I think there's two things that human beings like. They like money and they like power. And I think there's a combination of both of those at play with the cartels.
Where does the money come from? I mean, I guess what I'm trying to get at is the transaction.
In terms of the fentanyl stuff?
There's an insatiable appetite for drugs in the United States, right? Products find markets, regardless of whether you're talking about the gray market, the black market, or the legal market, right? And what gets me is those market dynamics exist, but you want to term that an invasion, right? You want to term it an invasion. And I got to tell you, like, that term is getting thrown around here. That term also gets people killed in places like El Paso, where Representative Moody is from. So, what I'd really ask people like you and others, if you come to testify on this stuff, let's sort of get away from that inflammatory rhetoric, because cartels operating in Texas have been happening for years. Cartels operating throughout the United States have been happening for years. But what I think many of you, including you, are trying to do is sort of localize this and say, hey, and wrap this in sort of immigration, illegality, right? But the bottom line is this is a supply and demand problem for us, right?
No, I think it's much more than that. The thing is, the point I'm trying to make here is that the people who are dying of fentanyl here in the United States are not doing it because they decided to take fentanyl. They decided to take some other thing that they didn't think was life-threatening. It was laced with poison by these actors that are doing it. And that is an act of an aggression that is, it's murder. It is an act, and if the CCP is funding it or providing it, it is an act of war on the people of Texas and America. And so I understand that there's a sensitivity about the word invasion, because I do. Let me just say this.
You know why, right?
Yes, sir.
You know
I do.
why.
I want you to understand. I do not consider the fact that people coming from other countries who want to be here legitimately to be an invasion. And the word invasion is used because there's constitutional language that uses the word actual invasion or imminent danger. I've used that word because that's the constitutional language. And I use that word partly because I want Texas to be, the motto of my group is let Texans run Texas. And the thing is, I want to protect the people of Texas from these poisoning deaths, from the sleeper cells that are coming in brought through the cartels, from the sexual trafficking and human trafficking of the poor immigrants that I care about, and I'm sure you do as well. I want the cartels who control this border right now not to have that power over people. I don't want to be encouraging people to come put themselves at the tender mercies of the cartels anymore. And I think it's easy to say that the cartels are invading the United States for their own whatever purposes they want, and they are certainly killing and harming not only Americans and Texans, but the people that I think you and I both care about, which is the immigrants that are trying to come into this country.
So you would be for opening up legal immigration in a way to undermine the profit margin in human smuggling of the immigrants, right? Because the way this works, and you know this, is that immigrants come here to find a better life. There are plentiful jobs here, willing employers who are willing to accept fake Social Security numbers, hire immigrants to build places like Austin, Texas, in the construction industry. And this talk of invasion and conflating that with immigration and suggesting that immigration is an invasion is very dangerous, is very, very dangerous. And I got to tell you, it is potentially very hurtful to the people that I represent, immigrants and non-immigrants alike. And so I would just ask that people be very clear about how they use that term, because that is an armed it is an armed incursion into one's sovereignty, and a state actor, usually a state actor doing it, okay? And you can, China, you referenced China. And there is, there is no evidence that China is engaged in an armed attack of the United States through Mexico. All right, let's just be clear about that.
I'm not saying that I know that to be true. I can
You don't know it to
suspect
be false.
I can be suspected.
Okay,
yes.
okay. So I would just ask people to sort of let's remember why immigration happens. Let's remember why cartels make money, right? And that there's an insatiable, and that we bear a lot of responsibility because we haven't fixed our immigration system. All right, we haven't opened up legal immigration in greater numbers, and we also have an insatiable appetite for drugs. Fentanyl, 80% of which comes through our ports of entry, right? And is trafficked, 80% of which is trafficked by American citizens. And those are the facts.
I guess one of the things I'll say is that my whole mission and my group's mission in terms of this legislative session is I want to segregate as much as possible the concept of immigration from security. This is what I hope gets accomplished in this session is not anything that tries to get involved in immigration at all, the state of Texas. That's a federal issue. It's not anything that I, as a citizen, can have any control over because I don't have any control over or input into DC. I do have an input here, and what I'm asking this legislative body to do is to protect the people of Texas from these deadly assaults that are happening to us. And I want to get the border secure, and I want to do it in a way that allows Texans to do it independently and do it constitutionally. And that's why we've gone to Article 1, Section 10, exception land, and it has the R in there, actual invasion or imminent danger. If to accomplish the objective, all we have to talk about is imminent danger. And by the way, we're in more than imminent, about to be in danger. We're in clear and present danger. The people of Texas are, as well as all the immigrants that are being forced into the tender mercies of the cartels. So I'm hoping we can come to an agreement this time around. Let's protect the people of Texas and protect the people who might be caught up in the net if we're talking about immigration. Let's talk about security, not immigration this session, and I think we'll make a great progress for Representative Anchía.
Thank you. Any other questions, members? Thank you. Now, let me go ahead, right ahead, Tom, to go. Everybody